Hello and welcome to Universus. So today I want to talk about Nick Ragan's Card Design Contest 3. Return to the Card Design Castle. It's having Nick Ragan to host his usual card design contest, but with a twist. The pricing has changed, the rules have changed, and it looks like we're seeing a more interesting twist on stuff we've seen in the past. The contest seems to grow every single time, become more refined and kind of more streamlined, and it's very interesting to see this card design contest kind of grow over the last few years. So for those of you who are unaware, Nick Ragan, World Champion of 2023, hosts a card design contest and has done for the last few years, where usually he gives away his spare XRs or rares or cards in his collection that he's not using into the community for those who can design interesting, fun and creative cards. However, this year it appears he's teamed up with Rochester CCG and possibly reaching out to international stores as well to basically say the winners of this event, so the best of each category, will get a box of their choice as long as it's actually available from Rochester CCG, and each winner of the judges' choice category will get a challenger deck of their choice from Rochester CCG as long as it's in stock, and international players can have theirs kind of sent out to local stores and done that way if Rochester doesn't deliver to them. So Nick thinking of all the underlying issues as well there. That's very cool to see. I have double checked, this is not limited to standard, it is limited, you can go to retro as long as it's available on Rochester. You can get any Universus product on there, or any Universus Challenger. That's very cool. Well, Universus box or Universus Challenger. That's very cool. So let's talk about the categories. So the big change to this year's competition is that rather than doing it through kits, because the character kits have kind of gone, if you're unaware of what character kits were essentially, you'd have your characters, they would have 2 to 8 cards accompanying them, which was kind of what they were designed around. So if you look at things like Girl Power and Jetburn, you can see that your characters will then be accompanied by cards around them. But AOT, Heroes of Exandria, have kind of got rid of that, and it's possibly we could see that moving forward. So this is a good decision for the competition to kind of get rid of that as well. So rather than changing or having the kits, there are simply 6 categories and 3 judges' choices. So the 3 judges' choices are just going to be the cards the judges like the most that didn't win any of the other categories. The 6 categories are best character, best action, best asset, best attack, best backup, and best foundation. So 1 for each card type you can currently play within the game. And entrants may submit 12 cards. So how you submit is entirely up to you. If you want to submit 12 characters, you can. Only 1 can win, but you're more than welcome to submit 12 characters, or you can spread them out a little bit. Ideally, I would say you're looking to put 2 into each. 2 characters, 2 actions, 2 assets, 2 attacks, 2 backups, 2 foundations. Making them fun, making them cohesive, and just kind of having that nice little way. And you can kind of even set it up as a kit yourself, so you can have a character, an action, an asset, a backup, a foundation, and an attack to go with that character. If you submit more than 12, then your oldest cards will be ignored. So kind of you're allowed to update your designs. If you submit a character, then you submit 11 other cards and go, I actually didn't like that first character, you can submit another one and that first character will be wiped out. But make sure you remember what order you submitted stuff in, because the oldest one will be taken out. The best thing to do in that situation is just submit all 12 again, so your previous 12 get completely ignored. That's how I do it anyway. All your cards for you will be grouped together. So if you want cards that play off each other, if you want cards that work well together to be seen together, then you can rest assured that those cards will be seen together. and that they will be judged separately but viewed together, if that makes sense, I guess. There are Google Forms where you could submit each of your cards and make sure that you put them in there. You can put custom art in there if you want yourself, but I do believe Nick has a little algorithm that will also generate art for these cards. How will the cards be judged? This is the big thing. This is the thing that people seem to kind of miss out on. Some people just want to make their own fan OC cards. Some people want to make the most busted cards in the world. I would say that going off the fact that Nick and other members of the judge panel, we don't quite know who's judging, but Nick's been playing the game long enough to have contact in the old heads. You're looking for cards that are creative, that are kind of inspiring, that make people interested in wanting to play them. They're fun, that both players kind of get to feel like they had a game, that you have fun interactions that can lead to interesting interactions, and that do not upset game balance. You're thinking of cards that are fair, that are balanced. I get to play Universus in a great way and allow people to play good, consistent Universus. Yes, they can be broken. Yes, they can do unfair things. It's kind of like a Mitchell Semino thing at the minute. You want to be doing unfair things in the fairest way possible. You want to be a card that on face looks really good, really powerful, and has certain combinations that could come across as broken, but also feels balanced, that feels like you can interact, that it doesn't feel like it's just going to curb stop everyone that gets in its way. And that's what like the champ cards kind of feel like. They require a certain amount of skill, they require a certain amount of luck, but they have that power behind them, and that's what you're kind of looking for here. You're looking for that champ card kind of feel of these cards could win games, these cards could do silly stuff, but at the same time they're balanced enough that both players are going to have fun, they're going to have interactive games, and that it's not going to upset the game balance of the game. A great example of this is we can take a look at last year's winners. One of the characters that won was Wukong, a 6 hand size 28 health character on Air, Chaos and Earth, with response once per turn. After a card is added to your momentum, add the top card of your deck to momentum and enhance your attack at +1 speed, +1 damage to the rest of the turn. Only playable if you have more momentum than your rival. So this is a great, fair and balanced character. It's a 628. That was the standard at the time before AOT kind of blew it out the water. And you have a response here. You have a response here that after a card is added to your momentum, you can add it to your momentum. This is a great, you can add top card of your deck to momentum. This is a great thing for the chaos symbol identity. It's a great way of interacting with cheating momentum or pushing momentum in, and then getting that +1 speed, +1 damage. You know, if you have more rivalry momentum, there's your cost, but it's answered by the top response. So it kind of leads into this way of you're not getting you're not getting +1 damage and +1 speed for every in momentum, but if you string out, that's going to stack. So it goes from +1/+1 to +2/+2 to +3/+3. So the longer your string goes, the more dangerous you get, as long as you can pump more momentum. So your opponent can interact with this. Your opponent can get you off this momentum. And it's a great interactive card that kind of lets you get that activation. And you build the kit around getting yourself momentum. So if we look at one of the attacks that won this, which was Cyclone. 5 diff, 3 mid block, 4 mid for 4 on a common. Free control with the Wukong symbols. Enhance discard momentum. This tag is +2 speed, +2 damage. Enhance discard momentum. Ready 1 foundation that's not been ready this combat phase. And enhance discard momentum. Flip and commit 1 rival foundation. Echo and a Wukong stun 1. So Echo allowing you to play it a second time if you have momentum. So this is a great example of what you're looking at here. Wukong will give you +1/+1 if you have momentum, but your cards are looking to spend momentum. So you're looking at ways to kind of generate momentum through your cards. And this was the common that won. Let's move off Wukong and let's go and have a look at Blockman. Blockman was another character that ended up winning a 5 hand size 30 health with 3 abilities. This character counts as 2 foundations when passing checks to block and attack. Response twice per turn after you completely block an attack. Ready this character Tenacious, and response once per turn after you completely block an attack. It does not clear during the end step. So This is a card pool stuffing kind of character. It benefits from blocking because additional 2 resources to block, ready up on a complete block, and then also say you're going to have progressive in my turn, making it harder for you to block me. This is a block character, making it harder for your opponent to block and making it easier for you to block. An absolute great example there. There's a lot of other cards that have won through here. I don't want to spend too long going over them, but you can kind of see you want cards that have balance to them. You want cards that answer the questions themselves. You want cards that introduce a aspect, an element, like Blockman was going, I'm going to block. So how can I utilize those blocks in a fair way? If it just said after an attack is blocked, that might be a bit too powerful, but completely blocked, allowing it to ready back up, is very powerful. The fact that you're essentially getting +1 to your check to block if you're using Blockman, very cool. Same with the Wukong. Wukong basically creates a situation of going, I need more momentum. Wukong will give me momentum if I get one, but I need to have more momentum than my opponent, so I can't take too much damage. I can't let them cheat out momentum. So that's the kind of cards looking for. These fun cards that create questions, that create this cost and then answer that cost on face, similar to Mitchell, who basically goes, when you review you gain momentum, and when you spend that momentum you get it back to hand. And with Nick going, you have to remove 8 cards, but you gain you get to play your next enhance as one of the enhances on an attack removed or ready up a foundation that was removed. You're creating a cost, you're creating an effect, and you're benefiting from that cost or effect. It's about looking at what you can create, which is a fun, creative and balanced effect for a character, action, backup, asset, attack or foundation. I'm really interested to see what people come up with. I'm really interested to see how the judges go down this, and I'm going to try and figure out what I want to make myself. I have entered the last couple of times, never really placed, never really done anything. I also have put in ones riddled with spelling mistakes and ones that were possibly a bit too underpowered or overpowered. But let me know, are you planning to enter? Did you know this was a thing? And what would you be planning to enter? There is no IP limit. You can enter yourself, you can enter OCs, you can enter any IP if you want to get Power Rangers, Johnny Bravo, anything from anyone out there. You can put it on there and Nick and the judges will overlook it, and hopefully you'll walk away with some product from Rochester CCG. So like I said, let me know what you're planning on entering. Let me know if you're one of the winners down the line. And the last thing to say is that when will this actually end? That's a great point. Submissions end on the submission deadline is July 31st at midnight PST. So you have until July 31st midnight PST to get your cards in. So you're looking at a good 2.5 months. Don't feel rushed. Take some time. Get those cards designed, and hopefully we'll find out who wins around the same time we get TMNT. I'll catch you all in a bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone designs. I'll see you at game night. Bye.